Hi, my name is Sam, and in this video, I will be talking about the eye condition nystagmus and what it's been like for me to have it. The goal of this video is to hopefully help someone who is looking for some information on the subject, or maybe someone who is looking for someone to relate to. So, if you would like to learn a little bit more about me and my personal experiences, or you would just like to learn a little bit more about nystagmus in general, or the effects it can have on a person's everyday life, then please keep watching. So let's start with some facts about nystagmus. Nystagmus, also known as wobbly eyes or dancing eyes, is an eye condition that causes your eyes to make involuntary movement, either horizontally or vertically. Nystagmus is caused by an abnormal functioning of the part of the brain that controls eye movement and positioning. Nystagmus affects about 1 in 1,000 people, so we're definitely not alone. So there are two main types of nystagmus. The first one is congenital nystagmus, which means that it was discovered early on in life, either right after birth or in the first few years of a child's life. Then there is acquired nystagmus, which means that it was acquired later on in life, caused by a disease, an accident, or a neurological problem. I have congenital nystagmus. This was discovered when I was a few months old. And I also had eye muscle surgery a few times when I was younger. This was to correct the strabismus, which means the misalignment of the eyes, and also to adapt my null point. And the null point is the point at which it's easiest and most comfortable to see because the nystagmus is most stable. Before I discuss the effects nystagmus can have on a person's everyday life, I would first like to mention that nystagmus is different for everyone, and the information that I am giving you is only based on factual information in combination with my own personal experiences. Nystagmus can affect your vision greatly. If you have nystagmus, then your eyes continually sweep over what you're viewing. And even though the brain somehow adapts so that you don't see the whole world move, it's still almost impossible to obtain a clear image. I, for example, have a visual acuity of about 40%. So that means that if a person that has a visual acuity of 100%, so normal vision, can see something clearly at a certain distance, that I would have to move 60% closer to the object to see it clearly. Glasses or contact lenses do not correct nystagmus, and therefore they do not improve vision that much. In my case, for example, wearing glasses only improves my vision with about 5 to 10%, and therefore I only wear them when I have to read or look at a screen for a longer period of time, or when I'm tired. And this brings me to my next point. When you have nystagmus, your vision can vary throughout the day, and it can be affected by both physical and emotional factors, such as stress, tiredness, nervousness, unfamiliar surroundings, and different lighting situations. Nystagmus can cause fatigue, eye strain, and headaches. And unfortunately, this is very true for me as well. After only a few hours of being busy with work, studying, socializing, traveling, anything really, I get tired and I get headaches. And especially after a very long day, my eyes just get sore and I need to close them for some relief. So nystagmus worsens when you're tired, and in itself it can also cause tiredness. So it's quite the vicious circle. And you can imagine the impact it can have on work, studies, social life, basically anything that is part of everyday life. And I remember that when I went to university, my days only consist of going to class and studying some more at home, because that was pretty much all I could take for one day. It takes people with nystagmus longer to see something, and even longer with moving objects. And this, in combination with the reduced vision and poor depth perception, which makes it harder to judge speed and distance, can cause tricky situations in traffic, for example. For me, I find intersections quite difficult because by the time that I have observed everything that's going on around me, the whole situation has already changed. So, riding my bike at night, for example, on my own is not the best idea. But sometimes I do it anyway. Living on the edge. Just to make this clear, I do not drive a car, and I probably will never be able to get my driver's license because of nystagmus. And because of the effects nystagmus has on your depth perception, your balance, and your hand-eye coordination, it can also make it quite difficult to excel at things like sports, especially the ones that involve catching balls. Also, it can make it a little bit more difficult to walk stairs or cross uneven surfaces, and also it can make you pretty clumsy. Nystagmus can also affect everyday life in other ways. For example, finding someone in a crowd or in an unfamiliar setting is quite difficult. So, whenever I meet up with someone, I try to meet them in a place that is familiar to me and is not too crowded. And also, I find it easiest to be the first one to arrive at the scene so that the other person has to find me. Even something as ordinary as doing groceries can be quite a challenge. So, to avoid spending hours in the supermarket looking for only a few items, the easiest thing to do would be to pick one supermarket, make it your favorite, learn which products are in which aisle, and never go to another one again. Or just ask for help. Which brings me to the last part of this video, which is free advice. As I mentioned before, nystagmus is different for everyone, so this advice may not be applicable to you. But if you do recognize some of the things that I've been talking about, then maybe this might be of some use to you. Even though research is being done, currently there is no cure for nystagmus, and I guess you could say that we just have to accept the fact that it's part of our lives and that we can't really do much about it. My family, for example, never treated me as if I was different or disabled, and I think that's a great approach because it doesn't give you that initial feeling that you are different from everyone else, and it does give you the confidence to think that you can accomplish anything that you want. But I do think that if I had known all the things that I know now about nystagmus when I was younger, it would have helped me to understand what it entailed, and it would have made it easier for me to link the differences between me and others to nystagmus, and that would have probably made me more confident to stand up for myself. So fortunately, I have never been bullied, but I did encounter some incomprehension in the form of people just assuming that my problem could be fixed with glasses, for example. Or people asking me, hey, how do you do that thing with your eyes? Or people calling me shy because I was afraid to look them in the eye. Or people calling me rude because I didn't wave back at them, simply because I just couldn't see them from that distance. So I guess that if I had known all the things that I know now, I would have been able to give them a well-informed response. So I guess what I want to say is, if you have nystagmus, try to accept it and find a way to live with it. And also it could be useful to educate yourself on the subject so that you make it easier for yourself to understand it and also to explain it to others. If you feel like there are certain things that could help you in making your life with nystagmus a little bit easier, then don't be afraid to ask for help. For example, if you think that you could do better in school if you sat at a certain place in class, or if you got a larger print or more time with exams, then just ask for it. Or if you think that you could do better at work if you have more breaks, then just ask for it, because I think that help will be made available for you if it improves your work. I also think that it could be useful to talk about nystagmus with the people around you. For example, your friends, family, colleagues, teachers, and not to make them feel sorry for you, but to help them understand why you prefer to do things a certain way. I also think it's very important to not let it discourage you in reaching your goals. Sure, if you want to become a truck driver or a pilot while having nystagmus, then that might be close to impossible. But I, for example, never thought that I would be pursuing a career in photography and film, and that is what I'm doing right now. As you may know, in photography and film, you rely heavily on your vision. So I may do things a little bit differently than others, and it may take me a little bit longer to get there, but I will get there. And I enjoy doing it very much. So if you do have a goal that seems impossible given the circumstances, then I would say just give it one try, because you may end up doing something that you really love. So this was it for now. I hope my video was somewhat helpful or entertaining. And if you have any questions for me about my personal experiences with nystagmus, or if you just want to share some of your own, then please don't hesitate to contact me. I would be more than happy to answer your questions or share some experiences. And if you think that this video is worth sharing to make more people aware, then please do so. I would appreciate it a lot. Thank you.